Hello everyone. Hi. Hi Andy. Welcome in. Nice to see you. Eh. So as a first time viewer, you have to say hi to no, to the bonbons. Here. Hi. And if people are not nice, they will get this one. The judge bun. Cat is in the bed. Pled is just laying in the bed and having a nice time. Oh, that's completely fine. I think I might be done with the books. Yeah, it might be a little long, but about next summer. Because I tried to do the whole series in one go. Help you with what? I'm so confused. I literally am so confused. I actually have a um thing in my Discord where I save the things people send to me. Um, Book suggestions here. Okay, so can you tell us a little bit more about it? Just a little bit about what it is about. Yeah, there. Dustin Thal. Okay. Interesting. Because I have no clue what it's about. Okay. Okay. Yeah, fair enough. Uh, okay, I have added it to my suggestions. So we will see if I can remember things. So yeah, if I at some point get to it, I will take it up and see at the list. Can't promise anything though. But I think, yeah, you can do that. I'm always open to suggestions. Just be aware I'm a little bit into the fantasy section, but it also needs to be that I can't guess the ending by reading the start, because that annoys me. That just fluffing annoys me. Uh, 29th September. So yeah, I primarily read um, um, I primarily need read fantasy, because a lot of it I can't guess from the start what is what, and I need to be able to find them in English because that's the language I'm reading things in. Oh, nice. But yeah, I have begun to read solely in English as well because I do not like my own language. Okay, I just need to see where we was last time. Uh, Okay, I know where I am, or where we left off last time. Because I only read on stream. Um, at some point, I might read off stream as well, like on Discord or something like that. But primarily, I read on stream. But things like death and these kind of things are okay. Yeah, that's true. Oh, I also need to fix my stream setup soon because I need the thing to be higher. Yeah, that's fine. But you can also give me those suggestions. Just put in a parenthesis that it's a spicy one, so I know not to read it on stream. Because that would be fucked. And even though we like that, we do not like it on stream. But yeah, indeed. What do you think about the bookmark? Yeah, thank you for that. Um, yeah, it's May who has made them. By now, I kind of have a lot of them. I think I have. Can't remember if it's 7 or 10. It's one of either. Yeah, May is painting my bookmarks. Violet, hi! Welcome in. Nice to see you. Oh, that was nice. But yeah, suggestions are always welcome for books. Well, shoulder hurts a little, but I'm ready to read a lot today because we actually have a lot to read. Uh, I need to see. Damn. That is. What is that? That's 30. That's about 40 pages today. So I might forget to hydrate because I read. Typical me, but yeah, that's how things is. Just so I know, is this okay for the book? Is this better? Yeah, it's Lord of the Rings music for the book. So yeah, today we are gonna continue what we did from last time, and I will today or tomorrow upload the videos from last time and from second last time because I haven't had time to do it. Also, I have as the last day of today a promotion on my stickers, and the promotion is called Sticky Buns. Is it? Also, what is it? Sticky Bun Buns? I think it was Sticky Bun Buns. 2 seconds. I need to look. We will blunt the knives. Knives bend the forks, just the bottles and burn the corks, just the justice of cut the plates. That's what Bilbo Baggins hates. The mad, but what of the plenty mad? I need to check 2 seconds. Fourth wall. I think it was that one, but I need to be sure. That was not what I was trying to do. That was not what I was trying to do. That was what I was trying to do. Okay. Promotions here. Sticky Bon Bon. And that one is for minutes 150 minutes. Okay, manually on pin. Okay, fair enough. So yes, that one is for free shipping on all of my of all of my things at the store. At the moment, I'm waiting for a logo so I can make beanies, and I'm also gonna make some t-shirts and some sweatshirts. And of course, they are gonna have some bunnies on. So yes, but if you use the code Sticky Bun Bun before end of stream, you get free shipping on the on your order, and it's everywhere in the world. So go in and see if you like some of the things. Fuck me. I have too many things on my table. Okay. Yes. Where the fuck is my glass now? There it was. Damn it. Ow. That hurt. Okay, 10 seconds, people. And now we drop. Floof. And again, everything is so aggressive. And I am helping Violet to get over there. And we all do not land in the bush. Sad. I'm sorry, Andy. That was a little bit too late. Yeah, I'm sorry. Is it the stickers you talk about, Violet? Yeah, I need to be better at calling it out, to be honest. But yeah. Yeah. Um, I will try to see if I can make the t-shirts so you can get the bunny as a logo at the front, and then have your name be on the back. So kind of like a team t-shirt. But we will see if that can happen. I would love it for it to be able to happen, but we will see. Okay, I will begin to read now. And the chapter we was in is called Le Palantir. Okay. Pippin sat with his knees drawn up and the ball between them. He bent low over it, looking like a greedy child stooping over a bowl of food, in a corner away from others. He drew his cloak aside and gazed at it. The air seemed still and tense about him. At first the globe was dark, black as jet, with the moonlight gleaming on its surface. Then there came a faint glow and stir in the heart of it, and it held his eyes, so that now he could not look away. Soon all the inside seemed on fire, the ball was spinning, or the lights within were revolving. Suddenly the lights went out. He gave a gasp and struggled, but he remained bent, clasping the ball with both hands. Closer and closer he bent, and then became rigid. His lips moved soundlessly for a while. Then, with a strangled cry, he fell back and lay still. The cry was piercing. The guards slept down from the banks. All the camp was soon astir. Yeah, gang t-shirts. Or kingdom t-shirts. Because we have a kingdom. Woohoo! So this is the thief, said Gandalf. Hastily he cast his cloak over the globe where it lay. But you, Pippin, this is a grievous turn to things. He knelt by Pippin's body. The hobbit was lying on his back, rigid, with unseeing eyes staring up at the sky. The devilry! What mischief has he done to himself and to all of us? The wizard's face was drawn and haggard. He took Pippin's hand and bent over his face, listening for his breath. Then he laid his hand on his brow. The hobbit shuddered, his eyes closed. He cried out and sat up, staring in bewilderment at all the faces round him, pale in the moonlight. It is not for you, Saruman, he cried in a shrill and toneless voice, shrinking away from Gandalf. I will send for it at once. Do you understand? Say just that. Then he struggled to get up and escape, but Gandalf held him gently and firmly. Peregrine Took, he said. Come back. Andrea, hi, love you. The hobbit relaxed and fell back, clinging to the wizard's hand. Gandalf, he cried, Gandalf, forgive me. Forgive you, said the wizard. Tell me first what you have done. I I took the ball and looked at it, stammered Pippin, and I saw things that frightened me, and I wanted to go away, but I couldn't. And then he came and questioned me, and he looked at me, and and that is all I remember. Yeah, sorry for that. That won't do, said Gandalf sternly. What did you see, and what did you say? Pippin shut his eyes and shivered, but said nothing. They all stared at him in silence, except Merry, who turned away. But Gandalf's face was still hard. Speak, he said. In a low, hesitating voice, Pippin began again, and slowly his words grew clearer and stronger. I saw a dark sky, and tall battlements, he said, and tiny stars. It seemed very far away and long ago, yet hard and clear. Then the stars went in and out. They were cut off by things with wings. Very big, I think. Really? But in the glass they looked like bats wheeling around the tower. I thought there were 9 of them. One began to fly straight towards me, getting bigger and bigger. It had a horrible... No, no, I can't say. I tried to get away, because I thought it would fly out, but when it had covered all the globe, it disappeared. Then he came. He did not speak so that I could hear words. He just looked, and I understood. So you have come back. Why have you neglected to report for so long? I did not answer, he said. I did not answer. He said, Who are you? I still did not answer, but it hurt me horribly, and he pressed me, so I said, A hobbit. Then suddenly he seemed to see me, and he laughed at me. It was cruel. It was like being stabbed with knives. I struggled. But he said, Wait a moment. We shall meet again soon. Tell Saruman that this dainty is not for him. I will send for it at once. Do you understand? Say, say just that. Then he gloated over me. I felt I was falling into pieces. No, no, I can't say any more. I don't remember anything else. Look at me, sir, said Gandalf. Pippin looked up, straight into his eyes. The wizard held his gaze for a moment in silence. Then his face grew gentler, and the shadow of a smile appeared. He laid his hand softly on Pippin's head. All right, he said. Say no more. You have taken no harm. There is no lie in your eyes, as I feared. But he did not speak long with you. A fool, but an honest fool, you remain, Peregrine Took. Wiser ones might have done worse in such a pass, but mark this. You have been saved, and all your friends too, mainly by good fortune, as it is called. You cannot count on it a second time. If he had questioned you, then and there, almost certainly you would have told all that you know, to the ruin of all of us. But he was too eager. He did not want information only. He wanted you, quickly, so that he could deal with you in the Dark Tower, slowly. Don't shudder. If you meddle in the affairs of wizards, You must be prepared to think as such of such things. But come, I forgive you. Be comforted. Things have not turned out as evilly as they might. He lifted Pippin gently and carried him back to his bed. Mary followed and sat down beside him. Lie there and rest if you can, Pippin, said Gandalf. Trust me, if you feel an itch in your palms again, tell me of it. Such things can be cured. But anyway, my dear hobbit, don't put a lump of rock under my elbow again. Now I will leave you two together for a while. With that, Gandalf returned to the others, who were still standing by the Orthanc stone in troubled thought. Peril comes in the night when least expected, he said. We have had a narrow escape. How is the hobbit Pippin? Asked Aragorn. I think all will be well now, answered Gandalf. He was not held long, and hobbits have an amazing power of recovery. The memory or the horror of it will probably fade quickly. Too quickly, perhaps. Will you, Aragorn, take the Orthanc stone and guard it? It is a dangerous charge. Dangerous indeed, but not to all, said Aragorn. There is one who may claim it by right, for this assuredly is the Palantir of Orthanc from the treasury of Elendil, set here by the kings of Gondor. Now my hour draws near. I will take it. Gandalf looked at Aragorn, and then, to the surprise of others, he lifted the covered stone and bowed as he presented it. Receive it, Lord, he said, in earnest of other things that shall be given back. But if I may counsel you in the use of your own, do not use it yet. Be wary. When have I been hasty or unwary? Who have waited and prepared for so many long years, said Aragorn. Never yet. Do not then stumble at the end of the road, answered Gandalf. But at the least keep this thing secret. You and all others that stand here. The hobbit peregrine, above all, should not know where it is bestowed. The evil fit may come on him again. For alas, he has handled it and looked in it. As should never have happened. He ought never to have touched it in Isengard, and there I should have been quicker. But my mind was bent on Saruman, and I did not at once guess the nature of the stone. Then I was weary, and as I lay pondering it, sleep overcame me. Now I know. Yes, there can be no doubt, said Aragorn. At least we know the link between Isengard and Mordor, and how it worked. Much is explained. Strange powers have our enemies, and strange weaknesses, said Theoden. But it has long been said, oft evil will shall evil mar. That many times is seen, said Gandalf, but at this time we have been strangely fortunate. Maybe. I have been saved by this hobbit from a grave blunder. I had considered whether or not to probe the stone myself to find its uses. I am not ready for such a trial, if indeed I shall ever be so. But even if I found the power to withdraw myself, it would be disastrous for him to see me yet. until the hour comes when secrecy will avail no longer. That hour is now come, I think, said Aragon. Earthling, can you do me a favor? Make a pin with the promotion code and the link, and then write a little text that the promotion code is for free shipping. I would really appreciate that. Yeah, in one word. You can get it from the exclamation mark merch command. Yeah, there. Thank you. Not yet, said Gandalf. There remains a short while of doubt, which we must use. The enemy, it is clear, though, that the stone was in Orthanc. Why should he not? And that therefore the hobbit was captive there, driven to look in the glass for his torment by Saruman. That dark mind will be filled now with the voice and face of the hobbit and with expectation. It may take some time before he learns his error. Yeah. Um, but it's not to get a discount, it's to get free shipping. Free shipping worldwide. Yeah, exactly. Exactamundo. We must snatch the time. We have been too leisurely. We must move. The neighborhood of Isengard is no place now to linger in. I will ride ahead at once with Peregrine Took. It will be better for him than lying in the dark while others sleep. I will keep Eomer and 10 riders, said the king. They shall ride with me at early day. The rest may go with Aragon and ride as soon as they have a mind. As you will, said Gandalf, but make all the speed you may to cover the hills to Helm's Deep. At that moment a shadow fell over them. The bright moonlight seemed to suddenly cut off. Several of the riders cried out and crouched, holding their arms above their heads, as if to ward off a blow from above. A blind fear and a deadly cold fell on them. Covering, they looked up. A vast, winged shape winged shape passed over the moon like a black cloud. It wheeled and went north, flying at a speed greater than any wind of Middle Earth. The stars fainted before it. It was gone. They stood up, rigid as stone. Gandalf was gazing up, his arms out and downwards, stiff, his hands clenched. Nazgul, he cried, the messenger of Mordor. The storm is coming. The Nazgul have crossed the river. Ride, ride, wait not for the dawn. Let not the swift wait for the slow. Ride. He sprang away, calling Shadowfax as he ran. Aragorn followed him. Going to Pippin, Gandalf picked him up in his arms. You shall come with me this time, he said. Shadowfax shall show you his paces. Then he ran to the place where he had slept. Shadowfax stood there already, slinging the small bag with all his luggage across his shoulders. The wizard leapt upon the horseback. Aragorn lifted Pippin and set him in Gandalf's arms, wrapped in cloak and blanket. Farewell, follow fast, cried Gandalf. Away, Shadowfax! The great horse tossed his head, his flowing tail flicked in the moonlight. Then he leapt forward, spurning the earth, and was gone like the north wind from the mountain. A beautiful, restful night, said Merry to Aragorn. Some folk have wonderful luck. He did not want to sleep, and he wanted to ride with Gandalf. And there he goes. Instead of being turned into a stone himself, to stand here forever as a warning. If you had been the first to lift the Orthing stone, and not he, how would it be now? Said Aragorn. You might have done worse, who can say? But now it is your luck to come with me, I fear. At once, go and get ready, and bring anything that Pippin left behind. Make haste. Thank you for the stretch. Ow. Trying to do it as the best I can. Oh, that hurt. Ouch. Oh. Okay. Over the plains, Shadowfax was flying, needing no urging and no guidance. Less than an hour had passed, and they had reached the fords of Isen and crossed them. The mound of the riders and its cold spears lay grey behind them. Pippin was recovering. He was warm, but the wind in his face was keen and refreshing. He was with Gandalf. The horror of the stone and of the hideous shadow over the moon was fading. Things left behind in the mists of the mountains or in a passing dream. He drew a deep breath. I did not know you rode bareback, Gandalf, he said. You haven't a saddle or bridle? I do not ride elf fashion except on Shadowfax, said Gandalf. But Shadowfax will have no harness. You do not ride Shadowfax, he is willingly carrying you. Or not. If he is willing, that is enough. It is then his business to see that you remain on his back unless you jump off into the air. How fast is he going? Asked Pippin. Fast by the wind, and but very smooth. And how light his footfalls are. He is running now as fast as the swiftest horse could gallop, answered Gandalf. But that is not fast for him. The land is rising a little here, and is more broken than it was beyond the river. But see how the white mountains are drawing near under the stars. Yonder are the Thryhern peaks like black spears. It will not be long before we reach the branching roads and come to the deepening combe, where the battle was fought 2 nights ago. Pippin was silent again for a while. He heard Gandalf singing softly to himself, murmuring brief snatches of rhyme in many tongues, as the miles ran under them. At last the wizard passed into a song, which the hobbit caught the words. A few lines came clear to his ears through the rushing of the wind. Tall ships and tall kings, 3 times 3, what brought they from the foundered land, over the flowing sea? 7 stars and 7 stones, and 1 white tree. What are you saying, Gandalf? Asked Pippin. I was just running over some of the rhymes of lore in my mind, answered the wizard. Hobbits, I suppose, have forgotten them, even those that they ever knew. No, not at all, said Pippin, and we have many of our own, which wouldn't interest you perhaps, but I have never heard this one. What is it about? The 7 stars and 7 stones? About the Palantiri of the kings of old, said Gandalf. And what are they? The name meant that which looks far away. The Orthing stone was one. Then it was not made? Not made? Pippin hesitated. By the enemy? No, said Gandalf, nor by Sauron. It is beyond this art, and beyond Sauron's too. The Palantiri came from beyond Westerness, from Eldamar. The Noldor made them. Fëanor himself, maybe, wrought them. In days so long ago that the time cannot be measured in years. But there is nothing that Sauron cannot turn to evil uses. Alas for Saruman. It was his downfall, as I now perceive. Perilous to us all are the devices of an art deeper than we possess ourselves. Yet he must bear the blame. Fool, to keep it secret for his own profit. No word did he ever speak of it to any of the council. We had not yet given thought to the fate of the Palantiri of Gondor in its ruinous wars. By men they were almost forgotten. Even in Gondor they were a secret known only to a few. In Arnor they were remembered only in a rhyme of lore among the Dunedain. What did the men of old use them for? Asked Pippin, delighted and astonished at getting answers to so many questions, and wondering how long it would last. To see far off, and to converse in thought with one another, said Gandalf. In that way, they guarded and united the realm of Gondor. They set up stones at Minas Anor and Minas Ithil and at Orthanc in the ring of Isengard. The chief and master of these was under the dome of stars at Osgiliath before its ruin. The three others were far away in the north. In the house of Elrond, it is told that they were at Amunima, Amunimanas and Amonsul, and the lentil stone was in the Tower Hills that look towards Mithlond in the Gulf of Lune, where the grey ships lie. Each Palantir replied to each, but all those in Gondor were ever open to the view of Osgiliath. Now it appears that as the rock of Orthanc has withstood the storms of time, so there the Palantir of the tower has remained. But alone it could do nothing but see small images of things far off and days remote. Very useful, no doubt. That was to Saruman, yet it seems that he was not content. Further and further abroad he gazed, until he cast his gaze upon Barad-dûr. Then he was caught. Who knows where the lost stones of Arnor and Gondor now lie, buried or drowned deep? But one at least Sauron must have obtained and mastered to his purposes. I guess that it was the Ithil stone, for him took Minas Ithil long ago and turned it into an evil place, Minas Morgul. It has become. Easy it is now to guess how quickly the roaring eye of Saruman was trapped and held, and how ever since he has been persuaded from afar, and daunted by persuasion would not serve. The biter bit, the hawk under the eagle's foot, the spider in a steel web. How long, I wonder, has he been constrained to come often to his glass for inspection and instruction? And the Orthanc stone so bent towards Barad-dûr, that if any save a will of adamant now looks into it, it will bear his mind and sight swiftly thither. Thank you. And how it draws one to itself. Have I not felt it? Even now my heart desires to test my will upon it, to see if I could not wrench it from him, and turn it where I would, to look across the wide seas of water, and of time to Tirion the fair, and perceive the unimaginable hand and mind of Fëanor at their work, while both the white tree and the golden were in flower. He sighed and fell silent. I wish I had known all this before, said Pippin. I had no notion of what I was doing. Oh, yes, you had, said Gandalf. You knew you were behaving wrongly and foolishly, and you told yourself so, though you did not listen. I did not tell you all this before, because it is only by musing on all that had happened that I have at last understood, even as we write together. But if I had spoken sooner, it would not have lessened your desire, or made it easier to resist. On the contrary, no, the burnt hand teaches best. After that advice about fire goes to the heart. It does, said Pippin. If all the 7 stones were laid out before me now, I should shut my eyes and put my hands in my pockets. Good, said Gandalf. That is what I hoped. But I should like to know, Pippin began. Mercy, cried Gandalf. If the giving of information is to be the cure of your inquisitiveness, I shall spend all the rest of my days in answering you. What more do you want to know? The names of all the stars, and of all living things, and the whole history of Middle Earth, and Overhaven, and of the sundering seas, laughed Pippin. Of course, what less? But I am in no not but I am not in a hurry tonight. At the moment, I was just wondering about the Black Shadow. I heard you shout, Messenger of Mordor. What was it? What could it do at the Isengard? It was a black rider on wings, a Nazgul, said Gandalf. It could have taken you away to the Dark Tower. But it was not coming for me, was it? Faltered Pippin. I mean, I didn't know that I had. Of course not, said Gandalf. It is 200 leagues or more in straight flight from Barad-dûr to Orthanc, and even a Nazgul would take a few hours to fly between them. But Saruman certainly looked in the stone since the Orc raid, and more of his secret thought, I do not doubt, has been read than he intended. A messenger has been sent to find out what he is doing, and after what has happened tonight, another will come, I think, and swiftly. So Saruman will come to the last pinch of his vice that he put his hand in. He has no captive to send, he has no stone to see with, and cannot answer the summons. Sauron will only believe that he is withholding the captive and refusing to use the stone. It will not help Saruman to tell the truth to the messenger, for Isengard may be ruined, yet he is still safe in Orthanc. So whether he will or no, he will appear a rebel. Yet he rejected us so as to avoid that very thing. What he will do in such plight, I cannot guess. He has power still, I think, while in Orthanc, to resist the Nine Riders. He may try to do so. He may try to trap the Nazgul, or at least to slay the thing on which it now rides in the air. In that case, let Rohan look to its horses. But I cannot tell how it will fall out, well or ill for us. It may be that councils of the enemy will be confused or hindered by his wrath with Saruman. It may be that he will learn that I was there and stood upon the stairs of Orthanc with hobbits at my tail, or that an heir of Elendil lives and stood beside me. If Wormtongue was not deceived by the armor of Rohan, he would remember Aragorn and the title that he claimed. That is what I fear, and so we fly not from danger, but into greater danger. Every stride of Shadowfax bears you nearer to the land of shadow, Peregrine Took. Pippin made no answer, but clutched his cloak, as if a sudden chill had struck him. Grey land passed under them. See now, said Gandalf, the Westfold Dales are opening before us. Here we come back to the eastward road, the dark shadow yonder in the mouth of the deepening combe. That way lies Aglarond and the glittering caves. Do not ask me about them. Ask Gimli if you meet again. And for the first time, you may get an answer longer than you wish. You will not see the caves yourself, not on this journey. Soon they will be far behind. I thought you were going to stop at Helm's Deep, said Pippin. Where are you going then? To Minas Tirith, before the seas of war surround it. Oh, and how far is that? Leagues upon leagues, answered Gandalf. Thrice as far as the dwellings of King Theoden, and they are more than 100 miles east from here, as the messengers of Mordor fly. Shadowfax must run a longer road, which will prove the swifter. We shall ride now till daybreak, and that is some hours away. Not even Shadowfax, then even Shadowfax must rest in some hollow of the hills at Edoras, I hope. Sleep if you can. You may see the first glimmer of dawn upon the golden roof of the House of All, and in 3 days thence you shall see the purple shadow of Mount Mindulin, and the walls of the Tower of Denethor, white in the morning. Away now, Shadowfax, run, great heart, run as you have never run before. Now we are come to the lands where you were foaled, and every stone you know. Run now. Hope is in speed. Hi, Strops, hi. Take care of yourself, okay? Get some meds, or the Bunbul will judge you. But I'm happy you're here. Um, Shadowfax tossed his head and cried aloud, as if a trumpet had summoned him to battle. Then he sprang forward, fire flew from his feet, night rushed over him. As he fell slowly into sleep, Pippin had a strange feeling. He and Gandalf were still as stone, seated upon the statue of a running horse, while the world rolled away beneath his feet with a great noise of wind. Okay. And now we see here. So Strops, remember to take care of yourself. I don't want to be an Angie Bonbon. Okay, they have written it is book 4, but yeah, no. Good. As long as you're taking care of yourself, then I'm happy. Chapter 1: The Taming of Smeagol. Well, master, we are in a fix and no mistake, said Sam Gamgee. He stood despondently with hunched shoulders beside Frodo, and peered out with puckering eyes into the gloom. It was the third evening since they had fled the company, As far as they could tell, they had almost lost count uh, of the hours during which they had climbed and labored among the barren slopes and stones of the Immon Mule, sometimes retracing their steps because they could find no way forward, sometimes discovering that they had wandered in a circle back to where they had been hours before. Yet on the whole they had worked steadily east, keeping as near as they could to find a way to the outer edge of this strange, twisted knot of hills. But always they found its outward faces sheer, high, and impassable, frowning over the plain below. Beyond its tumbled skirt lay livid, festering marshes where nothing moved and not even a bird was to be seen. The hobbit stood now on the brink of a tall cliff, bare and bleak, its feet wrapped in mist, and behind them rose the broken highlands crowned with drifting cloud. A chill wind blew from the east. Night was gathering over the shapeless lands before them. The sickly green of them was fading to a subtle, sullen brown. Far away to the right the Anduin, that had gleamed fitfully in sunbreaks during the day, was now hidden in shadow. But their eyes did not look beyond the river, back to Gondor, to their friends, to the lands of men. South and east they stared to where, at the edge of the oncoming night, the dark line hung, like distant mountains of motionless smoke. Every now and again, a tiny red gleam far away flickered upwards on the rim of earth and sky. What a fix, said Sam. That's the one place in all the lands we ever heard of that we don't want to see any closer. And that is the one place we're trying to get to. And that's just where we can't get, no how. We have come the wrong way, altogether, seemingly. We can't get down, and if we did get down, we'd find all that green land a nasty bog. I'll warrant. Can you smell it? He sniffed at the wind. Yes, I can smell it, said Frodo. But he did not move, and his eyes remained fixed, staring out towards the dark line and the flickering flame. Mordor, he muttered under his breath. If I must go there, I wish I could come there quickly and make an end, he shuddered. The wind was chilly and yet heavy with an odor of cold decay. Well, he said, at last withdrawing his eyes, we cannot stay here all night, fix or no fix. We must find a more sheltered spot and camp once more, and perhaps another day will show us a path. Or another, or another, or another, muttered Sam. Or maybe no day. We have come the wrong way. I wonder, said Frodo. It's my doom, I think, to go to that shadow yonder, so that a way will be found. But will good or evil show it to me? What hope we had was in speed. Delay plays into the enemy's hands, and here I am, delayed. Is it the will of the Dark Tower that steers us? All my choices have proved ill. I should have left the company long before, and come down from the north, east of the river, and of the Immon Mule, and so over the heart of the battle plain to the passes of Mordor. But now it isn't possible for you, and me. alone to find a way back. And the orcs are prowling on the east bank. Every day that passes is a precious day lost. I am tired, Sam. Every day that passes, the hardest. I don't know what it is to be done. What food have we got left? Only those, what do you call them, lembas, Mr. Frodo? A fair supply, but they're better than naught by a long bite. I never thought, though, when I first set tooth in them, that I should ever come to wish for a change. But I do now. A bit of plain bread and a mug, half a mug of beer would go down proper. Locked my cooking gear all the way from the last camp, and what use has it been? Not to make a fire with, for a start, not to cook, not even grass. They turned away and went down into a stony hollow. The westering sun was caught into clouds, and night came swiftly. They slept as well as they could for the cold, turn and turn about, in a nook among great jagged pinnacles of weathered rock. At least they were sheltered from the easterly wind. Did you see them again, Mr. Frodo? Asked Sam, as they sat stiff and chilled, munching wafers of limbus in the cold grey of early morning. No, said Frodo. I heard nothing and seen nothing for 2 nights now. Nor me, said Sam. Grr. Those eyes did give me a turn. But perhaps we've shaken him off at last, the miserable slinker. Gollum. I'll give him Gollum in his throat, if he ever get my hands on his neck. I hope you'll never need to, said Frodo. I don't know how he followed us, but it may be that he lost us again. As you say, in this dry bleak land we can't leave many footprints, nor much sense, even for his snuffing nose. I hope that's the way of it, said Sam. I wish we could be rid of him for good. So do I, said Frodo, but he's not my chief trouble. I wish we could get away from these hills. I hate them. I feel all naked on the east side, stuck up here with nothing but the dead flats between me and that shadow yonder. There's an eye in it. Come on. We got to get down today somehow. Mm. But that day wore on, and when afternoon faded towards evening, they were still scrambling along the ridge and had found no way of escape. Sometimes, in the silence of that barren country, they fancied that they heard faint sounds behind them, a stone falling, or the imagined step of flapping feet on the rock. But if they halted and stood still listening, they heard no more. Nothing but the wind sighing over the edges of the stones. Yet even that reminded them of breath softly hissing through the sharp teeth. All that day the outer ridge of the Immanmule had been bending gradually northward, and as they struggled on along its brink, there now stretched a wide tumbled flat of scored and weathered rock, cut every now and again by trench-like gullies that sloped steeply down into deep notches in the cliff face. To find a path in these clefts, which were becoming deeper and more frequent, Frodo and Sam would driven to their left, well away from the edge, and they did not notice that for several miles they had been going slowly but steadily downhill. The cliff top was sinking towards the level of the lowlands. At last they were brought to a halt. The ridge took a sharper bend northward and was gashed by a deeper ravine. On the further side, it reared up again, many fathoms at a single leap. A great grey cliff loomed before them, cut sheer down as if by a knife stroke. They could go no further forwards, and must turn now either west or east. But west would lead them only into more labor and delay. Backwards, back towards the heart of the hills, east would take them to the outer precipice. There's nothing for it but to scramble down the skilly, Sam, said Frodo. Let's see what it leads to. A nasty drop, I'll bet, said Sam. The cleft was longer and deeper than it seemed. Some way down they found a few gnarled and stunted trees, the first they had seen for days. Twisted birch, for the most part, with here and there a fir tree. Many were dead and gaunt, bitten to the core by the eastern winds. Once in milder days there must have been a fair thicket in the ravine, but now, after some 50 yards, the trees came to an end. The old broken stumps straggled on almost to the cliff's brink. The bottom of the gully, which lay along the edge of a rockfall, was rough with broken stone and slanted steeply down. When they came at last to the end, Frodo stooped and leaned out. Look, he said, we must have come down a long way, or else the cliff has sunk. It's much lower here than it was, and it looks easier too. Sam knelt beside him and peered reluctantly over the edge. Then he glanced up at the great cliff rising up. Away on their left. Easier, he grunted. Well, I suppose it's always easier getting down than up. Those as can't fly can jump. It would be a big jump still, said Frodo. Well, he stood for a moment measuring it with his eyes. About 8 fathoms, I should guess. Not more. And that's enough, said Sam. Ugh. How I do hate looking down from a height. But looking's better than climbing. All the same, said Frodo. I think we could climb here, and I think we shall have a try. See, the rock is quite different from what it was a few miles back. It has slipped and cracked. The outer fall was indeed no longer sheer, but sloped outwards a little. It looked like a great rampart or sea wall whose foundation had shifted, so that its courses were all twisted and disordered, leaving great fissures and long slanting edges that were in places almost as wide as stairs. And if we are going to try and get down, we had better try at once. It's getting dark early. I think there's a storm coming. The smoky blur of the mountains in the east was lost in a deeper blackness that was already reaching out westwards with long arms. There was a distant mutter of thunder borne on the rising breeze. Frodo sniffed the air and looked up doubtfully at the sky. He strapped his belt outside his cloak and tightened it, and settled his light pack on his back. Then he stepped towards the edge. I'm going to try it, he said. Very good, said Sam gloomily. But I'm going first. You, said Frodo? What's made you change your mind about climbing? I haven't changed my mind. But it's only sense. Put the one lowest as it is most likely to slip. I don't want to come down and atop of you and knock you off. No sense in killing two with one fall. Before Frodo could stop him, he sat down, swung his legs over the brink, and twisted around, scrambling with his toes for a foothold. It is doubtful if he ever did anything braver in cold blood, or more unwise. No, no, Sam, you old ass, said Frodo. You will kill yourself for certain, going over like that with even a look to see what to make for. Come back. He took Sam under the armpits and hauled him up again. Now, wait a bit and be patient, he said. Then he lay on the ground, leaning out and looking down, but the light seemed to be fading quickly, although the sun had not yet set. I think we could manage this, he said presently. I could at any rate, and you could too, if you kept your head and followed me carefully. I don't know how you can be so sure, said Sam. Why? You can't see to the bottom in this light. What if you comes to a place where there's nowhere to put your feet or your hands? Climb back, I suppose, said Frodo. Easy set, objected Sam. Better wait till morning and more light. No, not if I can help it, said Frodo with a sudden strange vehemence. I grudge every hour, every minute. I'm going down to try it out. Don't you follow till I come back or call. Gripping the stony lip of the fall with his fingers, he let himself gently down until his arms were almost at full stretch. His toes found a ledge. One step down, he said, and this ledge broadens out to the right. I could stand there without a hold. I'll. His words were cut short. The hurrying darkness, now gathering great speed, rushed up from the east and swallowed the sky. There was a dry, splitting crack of thunder right overhead. Searing lightning smote down into the hills. Then came a blast of savage wind, and with it, mingling with its roar, there came a high, shrill shriek. The hobbits had heard just such a cry far away in the marsh as they fled from Hobbiton, and even there in the woods of the Shire it had frozen their blood. Out here in the waste its terror was far greater. It pierced them with cold blades of horror and despair, stopping heart and breath. Sam fell flat on his face. Involuntarily, Frodo loosed his hold and put his hands over his head and ears. He swayed, slipped, and slithered downwards with a wailing cry. Sam heard him and crawled with an effort to the edge. Master, master, he called, master. He heard no answer. He found he was shaking all over, but he gathered his breath, and once again he shouted, Master! The wind seemed to blow his voice back into his throat, But as it passed, rowing up the gully and away over the hills, a faint answering cry came to his ears. All right, I'm here, but I can't see. Frodo was calling with a weak voice. He was not actually very far away. He had slid, not fallen, and had come up with a jolt to his feet on a wider ledge, not many yards below, lower down. Earthling, how much is a yard? Yards is the one after feet, right? Or am I just completely bonkers? Fortunately, the rock face at this point leaned well back, and the wind had pressed him against the cliff, so that he had not toppled over. He steadied himself a little, lying his face against the cold stone, feeling his heart pounding. But either the darkness had grown complete, or else his eyes had lost their sight. All was black about him. He wondered if he had been struck blind. He took a deep breath. Come back, he heard Sam's voice out of the blackness above. I can't, he said. I can't see. I can't find any hold. I can't move yet. What can I do, Mr. Frodo? What can I do? Shouted Sam, leaning out dangerously far. Why could not his master see? It was dim certainly, but not as dark as all that. He could see Frodo below him, a grey forlorn figure splayed against the cliff, but he was far out of the reach of any helping hand. There was another crack of thunder, and then the rain came in a blinding sheet, mingled with hail. It drove against the cliff, bitter cold. Okay, how much is left? 15 pages. So how much was a yard? Okay, so a yard is 3 feet. Interesting. Eh. Also, thank you for the suggestions. Um, Suggestions, Andy. That was what my brain was trying to say. And here everything just left me. For me to be unable to know things about the imperial systems. I didn't know what a yard was. But now I know. Hmm. Yeah, I found out. I had to Google though. Oh, please tell me if there's lag of any kind. Your trusty yardstick. What the fluff is a yardstick? A meter stick. I have never seen a meter stick. Yeah, I have never seen such things. I have seen a ruler which is like a meter or 2 meters, but I've just not seen a meter stick. That's interesting. That is very interesting. Oh. Mm. I'm coming down to you, shouted Sam, though he hoped to help in that way he could not have said. No, no, wait, Frodo called back, more strongly now. I shall be better soon. I feel better already. Wait, you can't do anything without a rope. Rope, cried Sam, talking wildly to himself in his excitement and relief. Well, I don't deserve to be hung on the end of one as a warning to numbskulls. You've not but a nine hammer of a ninny hammer, Sam Gamgee. That's what the gaffer said to me often enough, it being a word of his. Rope! Stop chattering, cried Frodo, now recovered enough to feel both amused and annoyed. Never mind your gaffer. Are you trying to tell yourself you got some rope in your pocket? If so, out with it. Yes, Mr. Frodo. It's in my pack and all. Carried it hundreds of miles, and I clean forgotten it. Then get busy and let an end down. Quickly Sam unslung his pack and rummaged in it. There indeed at the bottom was a coil of the silken grey rope made by the folk of Lorien. He cast an end to his master. The darkness seemed to lift from Frodo's eyes, or else his sight was returning. He could see the grey line as it came dangling down, and he thought it had a faint silver sheen. Now that he had some point in the darkness to fix his eyes on, he felt less giddy. Leaning his weight forward, he made the end fast round his waist, and then he grasped the line with both hands. Sam stepped back and braced his feet against a stump a yard or two from the edge. Half hauled, half scrambling, Frodo came up and threw himself on the ground. Thunder growled and rumbled in the distance, and the rain was still falling heavily. The hobbits crawled away back into the gully. They did not find much shelter there. Rills of water began to run down. Soon they grew to a spade that splashed and fumed on the stones, and spouted out over the cliffs like the gutters of a vast roof. I should have been half drowned down there, or was clean off, said Frodo. What a piece of luck you had that rope. Better luck if I thought of it sooner, said Sam. Maybe you remember them putting the ropes into the boats as we started off in the Elvish country. I took a fancy to it, and I stowed a coil in my backpack. Years ago, it seems. It may it may be a help in many needs, he said. Haldir or one of those folk, and he spoke right. A pity I didn't think of bringing another length, said Frodo. But I left the company in such a hurry and confusion. If only we had enough, we could use it to get down. How long is your rope, I wonder? Sam paid it out slowly, measuring with his arm. 5, 10, 20, 30 ells, more or less, he said. Who'd have thought it? Frodo exclaimed. Ah, who would, said Sam. Elves are wonderful folk. It looks a bit thin, but it's tough and soft as milk in the hand. Packs close too, as light as light. Wonderful folk to be sure. 30 elves, said Frodo, considering. I believe it would be enough. If the storm passes before nightfall, I'm going to try it. The rain nearly given over already, said Sam. But don't you go doing anything risky in the dim again, Mr. Frodo. And I haven't got over that streak on the wind yet. If you have, like a black rider it sounded, but one up in the air, if they can fly. I'm thinking we'd best lay up in this crag till night's over. And I'm thinking that I won't spend a moment longer than I need, stuck up with on this edge with the eyes of the dark country looking over the marshes, said Frodo. With that, he stood up and went down to the bottom of the gully again. He looked out. Clear sky was growing in the east once more. The skirts of the storm were lifting, ragged and wet, and the main battle had passed to spread its great wings over the Emil Mule, upon which the dark thought of Sauron brooded for a while. Then she turned smiting the vale of Anduin with hail and lightning, and casting its shadow upon Minas Tirith with threat of war. Then lowering into the mountains and gathering its great spires, it rolled on slowly over Gondor at the skirts of Rohan, until far away the riders on the plain saw its black towers moving behind the sun as they rode into the west. But here, over the desert and the reeking marshes, the deep blue sky of evening opened once more, and a few pallid stars appeared, like small white holes in the canopy above the crescent moon. It's good to be able to see again, said Frodo, breathing deep. Do you know, I thought for a bit that I had lost my sight. From the lightning or something else worse. I could see nothing, nothing at all, until the grey robe came down. It seemed to shimmer somehow. It does look sort of silver in the dark, said Sam. Never noticed it before. Though I can't remember as I've ever had it out since I first stowed it. But if you're so set on climbing, Mr. Frodo, how are you going to use it? 30 ells, or say about 15 fathoms? That's no more than your guess at the height of the cliff. Frodo thought for a while. Make it fast to that stump, said Sam, he said. Then I think you shall have your wish this time, and go first. I will lower you, and you need do no more than use your feet and hands to fend yourself off the rock. Though if you put your weight on some of the ledges and give me a rest, it will help. When you're down, I will follow. I feel quite myself again now. Very well, said Sam heavily. If it must be, let's get it over. He took up the road and made it fast over the stump nearest to the brink. Then the other end he tied to his own waist. Reluctantly, he turned and prepared to go over the edge a second time. I did not, however, turn out half as bad as he had expected. The rope seemed to give him confidence, though he shut his eyes more than once when looked down between his feet. There was one awkward spot where there was no ledge, and the wall was sheer and even undercut for a short space. There he slipped and swung out on the silver line, but Frodo lowered him slowly and steadily, and it was over at last. His chief fear had been that the rope length would give out while he was still high up, but there was still a good bite in Frodo's hands when Sam came to the bottom and called up, "I'm down." His voice came up clearly from below, but Frodo could not see him. His grey elven cloak had melted into the twilight. Frodo took rather more time to follow him. He had the rope about his waist, and it was fast above, and he had it shortened so it would pull him up before he reached the ground. Still he did not want to risk a fall, and he had not quite Sam's faith in the slender grey line. He found two places all the same, why he had to trust wholly to it. Smooth surfing faces, there was no hold even for the strong hobbit fingers, and the ledges were far apart. But at last he too was down. "Well," he cried, "we've done it. We escaped from the evil mule. And now what next? I wonder, maybe we shall soon be sighing for good hard rock underfoot again." But Sam did not answer. He was staring back up at the cliff. "Ninny hammers," he said. "Noodles. My beautiful rope. There it is, tied to a stump, and we are at the bottom. Just as nice a little stair for that slinking Gollum as we could leave. Better put up a signpost to say which way we've gone. I thought it seemed a bit too easy. If you can think of any way we could have both used the rope and yet brought it down with us, then you can pass on to me Ninnyhammer, or any other name your gaffer gave you," said Frodo. "Climb up and untie it, and let yourself down if you want to." Sam scratched his head. "No, I can't think how." "Begging your pardon," he said, "but I don't like leaving it, and that's a fact." He stroked the rope's end and shook it gently. "It goes hard parting with anything I brought out of the elf country. Made by Galadriel herself too, maybe." He murmured, nodding his head mournfully. He looked up and gave one last pull to the rope as if in farewell. To the complete surprise of both the hobbits, it came loose. Sam fell over, and the long grey coil slithered silently down on top of him. Frodo laughed. "Who tied the rope?" he said. "A good thing it held as long as it did." "Yeah, I know. Thank you. But I want to end this chapter. But I appreciate you saying it. Thank you." Um, a good thing it held as long as it did. To think that I trusted all my weight to your knot. Sam did not laugh. "I may not be much good at climbing, Mr. Frodo," he said in injured tones, "but I do know something about rope and about knots. It's in my family, as you might say. Why my granddad and my uncle Andy after him that was the gaffer's eldest brother, he had a rope walk over by Tidefield many years ago, and I put as fast a hitch over the stump as anyone could have ever done, in the Shire or out of it. Then the rope must have broken, frayed on the rock edge, I expect," said Frodo. "I bet it didn't," said Sam, in an even more injured voice. He stooped and examined the ends. "No, it hasn't neither, not a strand." Then I'm afraid it must have been the knot, said Frodo. Sam shook his head and did not answer. He was passing the rope through his fingers thoughtfully. Have it your own way, Mr. Frodo, he said at last. But I think the rope came off itself when I called. He coiled it up and stowed it lovingly in his pack. It certainly came, said Frodo, and that's the chief thing. But now we got to think of our next move. Night will be on us soon. How beautiful the stars are and the moon. They do cheer the heart, don't they? Said Sam, looking up. Elvish they are somehow. And the moon's growing. We haven't seen him for a night or two in this cloudy weather. He's beginning to give quite a light. Yes, said Frodo, but he won't be full for some days. I don't think we'll try the marshes by the light of half a moon. Under the first shadows of night, they started out on the next stage of their journey. After a while, Sam turned and looked back at the way they had come. The mouth of the gully was a black notch in the dim cliff. I'm glad we got the rope, he said. We've set a little puzzle for that footpad anyhow. He can try his nasty flappy feet on those ledges. They picked their steps away from the skirts of the cliff, among the wilderness of boulders and rough stones, wet and slippery with the heavy rain. The ground still fell away sharply. They had not gone very far when they came upon a great fissure that yawned suddenly black before their feet. It was not wide, but it was too wide to jump across in the dim light. They thought they could hear water gurgling in its depth. It curved away on their left side northward, back towards the hills, and so barred their road in that direction. At any rate, while darkness lasted, we had better try a way back southward along the line of the cliff, I think, said Sam. We might find some nook there, or even a cave or something. I suppose so, said Frodo. I'm tired, and I don't think I can scrabble among stones much longer tonight. Though I grudge the delay, I wish there was a clear path in front of us. Then I'd go on till my legs gave way. They did not find the going any easier at the broken feet of the Eman mule, nor did Sam find any nook or hollow to shelter in, nor any or only bare stone slopes frowned over by the cliff, which now rose again, higher and more sheer as they went back. In the end, worn out, they just cast themselves on the ground under the lee of a boulder lying not far from the foot of the precipice. There for some time they sat huddled mournfully together in the cold stony night, while sleep crept upon them in spite of all they could do to hold it off. The moon now rode high and clear. Its thin white light lit up the faces of the rock and drenched the cold frowning walls of the cliff, turning all the wide looming darkness into a chill pale grey, scored with black shadows. I have 9 pages left, Earthling. Well, said Frodo, standing up and drawing his cloak more closely round him. You sleep for a bit, Sam, and take my blanket. I'll walk up and down on sentry for a while. Suddenly he stiffened, and stooping he gripped Sam by the arm. What's that? He whispered. Look over there on the cliff. Sam looked and breathed in sharply through his teeth. Shh, he said. That's what it is? That's what it is? Yeah. It's that golem. Snakes and adders. And to think that I thought we'd puzzle him with our bit of a climb. Look at him, like a nasty crawling spider on a wall. Down the face of a precipice, sheer and almost smooth, it seemed, it seemed in the pale moonlight. A small black shape was moving with its thin limbs spalted out. Maybe its soft, clinging hands and toes were finding crevices and holes that no hobbit could have ever have seen or used. But it looked as if it was just creeping down on sticky paths like some large prowling thing of insect kind. And it was coming down head first, as if it was smelling its way. Now and again it lifted its head slowly, turning it right back on its long skinny neck, and the hobbits caught a glimpse of two small pale gleaming lights, its eyes that blinked at the moon for a moment and then were quickly lit again. Do you think he can see us? Said Sam. I don't know, said Frodo quietly, but I think not. It is hard even for friendly eyes to see these elven cloaks. I cannot see you in the shadow even at a few paces. I've heard that he does not like sun or moon. Then why is he coming down just here? Asked Sam. Quietly, Sam, asked Frodo. He can smell us, perhaps, and he can hear as keen as elves, I believe. I think he has heard something now, our voices properly. We did a lot of shouting away back there, and we were talking far too loudly until a minute ago. Well, I'm sick of him, said Sam. He's come once too often for me, and I'm going to have a word with him. If I can. I don't suppose we could give him the slip now anyway. Drawing his grey hood well over his face, Sam crept stealthily towards the cliff. Carefully, careful, whispered Frodo, coming behind. Don't alarm him. He's much more dangerous than he looks. The black crawling shape was now 3/4 of the way down, and perhaps 50 feet or less above the cliff's foot. Crouching stone still in the shadow of a large boulder, the hobbits watched him. He seemed to have come to a difficult passage, or to be troubled about something. They could hear him snuffling, and now and again there was a harsh hiss of breath that sounded like a curse. He lifted his head, and they thought they heard him spit. Then he moved again. Now they could hear his voice creaking and whistling. Ah, cautious, my precious. More haste, less speed. We mustn't risk our neck, mustn't we, precious? No, precious. He lifted his head again, blinked at the moon, and quickly shut his eyes. We hate it, he hissed. Nasty, nasty, shivering light it is. It spies on us, precious. It hurts our eyes. He was getting lower now, and the hisses became sharper and clearer. Where is it? Where is it, my precious? My precious! It's ours. It is. And we want it. The thieves! The thieves! The filthy little thieves! Where are they, my precious? Curse them! We hate them! It doesn't sound As if he knew we were here, does it? Whispered Sam. And what's his precious? Does he mean the s? Breathed Frodo. He's getting near now, near enough to hear a whisper. Indeed, Gollum had suddenly paused again, and his large head on his scrawny neck was lolling from side to side as if he was listening. His pale eyes were half unlidded. Sam restrained himself, though his fingers were twitching. His eyes, filled with anger and disgust, were fixed on the wretched creature as he now began to move again, still whispering and hissing to himself. At least he was no more than a dozen feet from the ground. Right above their heads. From that point, there was a sheer drop, for the cliff was slightly undercut, and even Gollum could not find a hold of any kind. He seemed to be trying to twist round so as to let go legs first, when suddenly with a shrill, wrestling shriek he fell. As he did so, he curled his legs and arms around him, like a spider whose descending thread is snapped. Sam was out of his hiding in a flash and crossed the spaces between him and the cliff foot in a couple of leaps. Before Gollum could get up, he was on top of him. But he found Gollum more than he bargained for, and even taking like that, suddenly off his guard after a fall. Before Sam could get a hold, long legs and arms were wound round him, pinning his arms and clenching grip, soft but horribly strong, was squeezing him like slowly tightening cords. Clammy fingers were feeling for his throat, then sharp teeth bit into his shoulder. All he could do was to butt his hard, round head sideways into the creature's face. Gollum hissed and spat, but he did not let go. Things would have gone ill with Sam if he had been alone, but Frodo sprang up and drew Sting from its sheath. With his left hand, he drew back Gollum's head with his thin lank hair, stretching his long neck and forcing his pale venomous eyes to stare up at the sky. Let go, Gollum, he said. This is Sting. You have seen it before, once upon a time. Let go, or you'll feel it this time. I will cut your throat. Gollum collapsed and went as loose as wet string. Sam got up, fingering his shoulder. His eyes smoldered with anger, but he could not avenge himself. His miserable enemy lay growling on the stones, whimpering. Don't hurt us. Don't let them hurt us, precious. They won't hurt us, will they, nice little hobbitses? We didn't mean no harm, but they jumps on us like cats on poor mices. They did, precious. And we're so lonely, Gollum. We'll be nice to them, very nice. If they be nice to us, won't we? Yes, yes. Well, what's to be done with it, said Sam. Tie it up so it can't come sneaking after us no more, I say. But that would kill us. Kill us, whimpered Gollum. Cruel little hobbitses. Tie us up in the cold hot lands and leave us. Gollum, Gollum. Sobs welled up in his gobbling throat. No, said Frodo. If we kill him, we must kill him outright. But we can't do that. Not as things are. Poor wretch. He has done us no harm. Oh, he hasn't, said Sam, rubbing his shoulder. Anyway, he meant to, and he means to, I'll warrant. Throttle us in our sleep, that's his plan. I dare say, said Frodo, but what he meant to do is another matter. He paused for a while in thought. Gollum lay still, but stopped whimpering. Sam stood glovering over him. It seemed to Frodo then that he heard, quite plainly, but far off, voices out of the past. What a pity Bilbo did not stab the vile creature when he had a chance. Pity! It was pity that stayed his hand. Pity and mercy, not to strike without need. I do not feel any pity for Gollum. He deserves death. Deserves death! I dare say he does. Many that live deserve death, and some die that deserve life. Can you give that to them? Then be not eager to deal out death in the name of justice, fearing for your own safety. Even the wise cannot see all ends. Very well, he answered aloud, lowering his sword. But still I'm afraid, and yet, as you see, I will not touch the creature, for now that I see him, I do pity him. Sam stared at his master, who seemed to be speaking to someone who wasn't there. Gollum lifted his head. Yes, wretched we are, precious, he whined. Misery, misery. Hobbits won't kill us. Nice hobbits. No, we won't, said Frodo, but we won't let you go either. You are full of wickedness and mischief, Gollum. You will have to come with us, that's all, while we keep an eye on you. But you must help us, if you can. One good turn deserves another. Yes, yes, indeed, said Gollum, sitting up. Nice hobbits. We will come with them. Find them safe paths in the dark. Yes, we will. And where are they going in these cold, hard lands, we wonders? Yes, we wonders. He looked up at them, and a faint light of cunning and eagerness flickered for a second in his pale, blinking eyes. Sam scowled at him and sucked his teeth, but he seemed to sense that there was something odd about his master's mood, and that the matter was beyond argument. All the same, he was amazed at Frodo's reply. Frodo looked straight into Gollum's eyes, which flinched and twisted away. You know that, or you guess well enough, Smeagol, he said, quietly and sternly. We are going to Mordor, of course, and you know the way there, I believe. Ah, sheesh, said Gollum, covering his ears with his hands, as if such frankness and the open speaking of the names hurt him. We guessed, yes, we guessed, he whispered. And we didn't want them to go, did we? No, precious. Not the nice hobbits. Ashes, ashes and dust, and thirst there is, and pits, 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 and orcs, thousands and orcs. Nice hobbits mustn't go to those places. So you have been there, Frodo insisted. And you're being drawn back there, aren't you? Yes, yes. No, shrieked Gollum. Once by accident it was, wasn't it, precious? Yes, by accident. But we won't go back. No, no. Then suddenly his voice and language changed, and he sobbed in his throat, and spoke, but not to them. Leave me alone, Gollum. You hurt me. Oh, my poor hands, Gollum. I, we, I don't want to come back. I can't find it. I'm tired. We can't find it. Gollum, Gollum, no, nowhere. They are always awake. Dwarfs, men, and elves. Terrible elves with bright eyes. I can't find it. Ugh. He got up and clenched his long hands into a bony flesh knot, shaking it towards the east. We won't, he cried. Not for you. Then he collapsed again. Gollum! Gollum! He whispered with his face to the ground. Don't look at us. Go away. Go to sleep. He will not go away or go to sleep at your command, Smeagol said Frodo. But if you really wish to be free of him again, then you must help me. And that, I fear, means finding us a path towards him. But you need not go all the way, not beyond the gates of his land. Gollum sat up again and looked at him under his eyelids. He's over there, he cackled. Always there. Orcs will take you all the way. Easy to find orcs east of the river. Don't ask Smeagol. Poor Smeagol. He went away long ago. They took his precious, and he's now lost. Perhaps we'll find him again, if you come with us, said Frodo. No, no, never. He's lost his precious, said Gollum. Get up, said Frodo. Gollum stood up and backed away against the cliff. Now, said Frodo, can you find a path easier by day or by night? We are tired, but if you choose the night, we'll start tonight. The big lights hurt your eyes, they do, Gollum whined. Not under the white face, not yet. It will go behind the hills soon, yes. Rest a bit first, nice hobbits. Then sit down, said Frodo, and don't move. The hobbits seated themselves beside him, one on either side, with their backs to the stony wall, resting their legs. There was no need for any arrangements by word. They knew that they must not sleep for a mount. Slowly the moon went by, shadows fell down from the hills, and all grew dark before them. The stars grew thick and bright in the sky above. No one stirred. Gollum sat with his legs drawn up, knees under chin, flat hands, and feet spayed on the ground. His eyes closed, but he seemed tense, as if thinking or listening. Frodo looked across at Sam. Their eyes met, and they understood. They relaxed, leaning their heads back, shutting their eyes, or seeming to. Soon the sound of their breathing could be heard. Gollum's hands twitched a little, hardly perceptible. His head moved to the left and the right, and first one eye opened, and then the other opened a slit. The hobbits made no sign. Suddenly, with startling agility and speed, straight off the ground with a jump like a grasshopper or a frog, Gollum bounded forward into the darkness. But that was just what Frodo and Sam had expected. Sam was on him before he had gone 2 paces after his spring. Frodo, coming behind, grabbed his legs and threw him. Your rope might prove useful again, Sam, he said. Sam got the rope. And where were you off to in the cold, hard lands, Mr. Gollum? He growled. He wonders to find some of your orc friends, I warned. You nasty, treacherous creature. It's round your neck this rope ought to go, and a tight nose, too. Gollum lay quiet and tried no further tricks. He did not answer Sam, but gave him a swift, venomous look. All we need is something to keep on hold on him, said Frodo. We want to walk, so it's no good tying his legs or arms. He seems to use them nearly as much. Tie one end of his ankle and keep a grip on the other end. He stood over Gollum while Sam tied the knot. The result surprised them both. Gollum began to scream, a thin chewing sound, very horrible to hear. He writhed and tried to get his mouth to his ankle and bite the rope. He kept on screaming. At last Frodo was convinced that he really was in pain, but it could not be from the knot. He examined it and found that it was not too tight, indeed hardly tight enough. Sam was gentler than his words. "What's the matter with you?" he said. If you will, if you will try to run away, you must be tied. But we don't wish to hurt you." "It hurts us, it hurts us," hissed Gollum. "It freezes, it bites. Elves twisted it, cursed them. Nasty, cruel hobbits. That's why we tried to escape. Of course it is precious. We guessed they were cruel hobbits. They visit elves, fierce elves with bright eyes. Take it off us. It hurts." "No, I will not take it off you," said Frodo. "Not unless." He paused a moment in thought. "Not unless there is any promise you can make that I can trust." "We will swear to do what he wants. Yes, yes," said Gollum, still twisting and grappling his ankle. "It hurts us." "Swear?" said Frodo. "Smeagol," said Gollum suddenly and clearly, opening his eyes wide and staring at Frodo with a strange light. "Smeagol will swear on the precious." Frodo drew himself up, and again Sam was startled by his words and his stern voice. "On the precious? How dare you?" he said. "Think. One rule, one ring to rule them all, and in darkness bind them. Would you commit your promise to that, Smeagol? I will hold you, but it is more precious than you are." "It may twist your words. Beware." Gollum cowered. On the precious," he repeated. "And what would you swear?" asked Frodo. "To be very, very good," said Gollum. Then crawling to Frodo's feet, he groveled before him, whispering hoarsely. A shudder ran over him, as if the words shook his very bones with fear. "Smeagol will never, never to let him have it. Never. Smeagol will save it, but he must swear on the precious." "No, not on it," said Frodo, looking down at him with stern pity. "All you wish is to see it and touch it, if you can, though you know it would drive you mad. Not on it, swear by it, if you will, for you know where it is. Yes, you know, Smeagol, it is before you." For a moment it appeared to Sam that his master had grown and Gollum had shrunk, a tall stone shadow, a mighty lord who hid his brightness in grey cloud, and at his feet a little whining dog. Yet the two were in some way akin and not alien. They could reach one another's mind. Oh, yeah. Gollum raised himself and began pawing at Frodo, fawning at his knees. "Down, down," said Frodo. "Now speak your promise." "We promises, yes, I promise," said Gollum. "I will serve the master of the precious. Good master, good Smeagol." "Gollum, Gollum." Suddenly he began to weep and bite at his ankle again. "Take the rope off, Sam," said Frodo. Reluctantly, Sam obeyed. At once Gollum got up and began prancing about like a whipped cur whose master has patted it. From that moment, a change which lasted for some time came over him. He spoke with less hissing and whining, and he spoke to his companions direct, not to his precious self. He would cringe and flinch if they stepped near him or made any sudden movement, and he avoided the touch of the elven cloaks. But he was friendly, and indeed pitiful, anxious to please. He would cackle with laughter and caper if any jest was made, or even if Frodo spoke kindly to him, and weep if Frodo rebuked him. Sam said little to him of any sort. He suspected him more deeply than ever, and if possible, like the new Gollum, the Smeagol less than the old one. Well, Gollum, or whatever it is we are to call you, he said, now for it. The moon's gone and the night's going. We'd better start. Yes, yes, agreed Gollum, skipping about. Off we go. There's only one way across between the north end and the south end. I found it, I did. Orcs don't use it. Orcs don't know it. Orcs don't cross the marshes. They go round for miles and miles. We are lucky you came this way. Very lucky you found Smeagol. Yes, follow Smeagol. He took a few steps away and looked back inquiringly, like a dog inviting them for a walk. Wait a bit, Gollum, cried Sam. Not too far ahead now. I'm going to be at your tail, and I've got the rope handy. No, no, said Gollum. Smeagol promised. In the deep of night, under hard, clear stars, they set off. Gollum led them back northward for a while, along the way they had come. He slanted to the right away from the steep edge of the Iron Mule, down the broken stony slopes, towards the vast fens below. They faded slowly and softly into darkness. Over all the leagues of waste before the gates of Mordor, there was a black silence. And that was everything for today. Ow. Eh. So I hope everyone will have a nice week and will of course take care of themselves. Slash read. Earthling, can you give us the raid messages? Thank you. Where should we go? Good night, Earthling. I hope you sleep very well. And I hope to see everyone next week. So everyone have a lovely evening, and we are going to raid Iroth. Yes, I know. But have a nice sleep, and I will see you all hopefully next Sunday. And remember, I appreciate you all. See ya, everyone. What the fluff?